Hi, welcome back to Mountain Gym Card Collectibles. I hope you're having a great week so far. So today I just want to talk about, basketball cards, basketball players, and some of the biggest name players of the 2020s in both the NBA and WNBA. All right. So to start us off, I pulled up this list of the championship winners of the 2020s for the NBA Finals, okay? It also has the losers as well, all right? Now, the thing about basketball is how rapidly it's changing within the US, all right, for a lot of reasons. Now, I know a lot of people like to, point the finger at, Major League Baseball and say that's America's pastime. And for many, many years, I truly believed it was America's pastime. I would prefer to watch, say, a baseball game over, most other sports. But I still always enjoy watching basketball. But the thing I've noticed about basketball is how the fans move from league to league to league so they can continue watching basketball throughout most of the year nowadays, all right? A big basketball fan, they can watch NBA basketball, they can watch the NCAA basketball, for men's and women's as well, because I believe the women's NCAA basketball, carries on around the same time as the men's. And so when the men's NBA season ends, you can move to the WNBA and watch WNBA basketball, because that starts up about the same time that the men's NBA season wraps up. And you can also watch Big Three. And I see, you know, people flocking to the stadiums because, when I see the stuff on TV, I'm not looking at empty stadiums for NBA games or WNBA games or Big Three games, or even NCAA basketball games. And so I'm really beginning to ask myself if basketball is becoming America's pastime, And I know America loves football, but, when you look at the alternative football leagues, you just don't see the stadiums packing in like they do for the NFL or, some NCAA games. So, anyway, when I look at this list, I think of all the money being spent on the big players, of basketball. And, for the 2020s, there is not any certain player or team that's dominating the NBA Finals championships, okay? And I know a lot of money spent chasing these players, after they win the championship, whatever, and, the sales are going on during the finals, all this and that. But what stands out is, you know, there are two teams that, have been in these finals numerous times for the 2020s. The Miami Heat, was there in 2020. They were defeated by the Los Angeles Lakers. And then 2023, the Miami Heat was defeated by the Denver Nuggets. So they are kind of dominant, under Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler's moved on, to the Golden State Warriors. All right. And then, of course, we had the Boston Celtics get defeated by the Golden State Warriors in 2022. And then the Boston Celtics defeat the Dallas Mavericks in 2024. All right. So when I go down these lists, I'm just going to name the two biggest players that come out at me in these championship games, So in 2020, the Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Miami Heat for the championship, okay, in the NBA Finals. Obviously, LeBron James comes out at me and Jimmy Butler, all right? In 2021, the Milwaukee Bucks defeated the Phoenix Suns, okay? Giannis Antetokounmpo stands out in that championship game. And really nobody from the Phoenix Suns comes out at me, Now in 2022, the Golden State Warriors defeated the Boston Celtics, all right? Obviously, Steph Curry would be the man of the hour. And then Jason Tatum, would be the man of the hour for the losing Boston Celtics, all right? Denver Nuggets defeated the Miami Heat in 2023 to win the NBA Finals championship. Obviously, Nikola Jokic, was the big man for that championship. And then, of course, he defeated, Jimmy Butler for the most part. All right. 2024, you have the Boston Celtics defeated the Dallas Mavericks, all right? So Jason Tatum defeated, Luka Doncic, all right? And then 2025, you have the Oklahoma City Thunder, which, SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, defeated the Indiana Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton, okay? And then, of course, 2026, we have the New York Knicks defeated San Antonio Spurs. Jalen Brunson defeated Victor Wembanyama, okay? So there are names of players that I repeat numerous times. Say Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum, okay? But really nobody else is coming out for the most part, And out of all of these championship wins for the NBA Finals, who would be the biggest player at this point in time? Well, obviously LeBron James, To me, he is likely going to be the most valued player at this point in time because of that. Unless these other players really begin to dominate more and get more, NBA Finals championship wins under their belts. Because that's what I'm scratching my head about is all these people spending all this money on these players. And they're really not dominating, the league. So that takes me to another issue. And that's Caitlyn Clark, Because, Caitlyn Clark really came in hot, from the NCAA. She has almost a cult of fans and followers, And, I've purchased Caitlyn Clark cards, sold them. But a lot of people are, asking themselves, if she's really going to be the player that a lot of us expected her to be, okay? I mean, is she going to win a championship for the WNBA Finals? I just don't know. She does get injured quite frequently, unfortunately. A lot of women basketball players look up to her, so she is really popular, but she's not dominating the league, to say the least, okay? And so this just came out. Is this Panini Caitlyn Clark set the worst? If you don't think this is the worst product on the super card market, tell me what is. Now, people still are spending a lot of money on Caitlyn Clark cards, but they're not spending the money like they were a few years ago, okay? I'm not seeing all the chatter about Caitlyn Clark, on social media like I was, say, back in 2024. All right, so let's see what people are saying. All right, if she wouldn't have gotten hurt, they'd probably be sold out, to be honest, or TBH. And it says here, I didn't think anything would have kept this stuff popular. No one cared about the WNBA for decades. Suddenly they did. Now they don't again. Well, I don't really believe that's the case. I mean, if you watch WNBA games, those stadiums are packed, okay? And I know they get pretty good viewership ratings, so a lot of guys aren't too impressed with the WNBA, and I understand why, I mean, that's just kind of a guy thing. But what I'm saying is it feels like basketball is kind of turning into America's pastime. It says here, I've never seen anyone even pretend to care about the WNBA before she came along. Well, that's one thing about Caitlyn Clark is she has brought a lot more focus and interest to the WNBA. Can't be worse than 2026 Series 1 and 2 baseball trash. Okay, so, I've seen these boxes at Target. I could have purchased them too. I didn't. And I kind of kicked myself in the butt for not, because I figured, it might be something that you purchase and you just leave sealed up to maybe sell down the road. I probably wouldn't rip into it. But people are starting to bash on it. So like it says here, can't be worse than 2026 Series 1 and 2 baseball trash. Yeah, I mean, if you know my channel, you know me. I'm not a fan of Series 1 and Series 2 baseball cards, for the paper stuff. I mean, I think it's toilet paper. And then this guy sticks up for it. What's wrong with Series 1 and 2? Let's see what people say. Let me reply. He's like, he didn't get some player worn patch out that he could flip. That's not what flagship tops is or ever was. Maybe I'm just the old bitter guy now, but I'm so sick of these people. Well, a lot of us have really turned their backs on Series 1 and 2 for a lot of reasons, and they can hype it up all they want, but, once you get burned year in and year out on that cheap stuff, it's just not worth it. It says here, for me, I hate the Titans of the game inserts. They look cheap and cheesy. The black out of 10 are okay. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the Titans of the game inserts either. All right. We track hundreds of thousands of solds, and the Clark WNBA stuff is nowhere near the worst. 2025 Donruss WNBA turned over 6% of its whole checklist last month, about 3 times our platform average. The real dead products are old base NBA like 2022 contenders running 200x less liquid. Boy, I'd probably have to agree with that, I'd definitely be hopping more into Caitlyn Clark stuff than a lot of this 2020s Panini's basketball stuff. I have it too, and nobody likes it, if you try to flip it, I don't know what to say about that stuff. I have to agree with you. I was flush with bonus money around the holidays and bought one. The book was gorgeous, but the cards were meh. Definitely not worth $60. I expect to see them in Ollie's soon. Yeah, people just aren't very impressed. I mean, they had high hopes with this set. NBA hoops in 2025 to 2026 Donruss basketball are right there with it. Donruss basketball is incredibly bad. Yeah, I've never been a big fan of Donruss basketball since Panini has owned Donruss. I wish Panini would just sell that Donruss label to somebody else, to be quite honest. Someone that's really going to respect it. Caitlyn Clark will go down like all the others before her. Cheryl Hoops, Lisa, Leslie, etc. as just another girl basketball player. Doesn't matter how many records she breaks. It's still girls basketball and men don't watch it. And men are the spenders on sports. WNBA shouldn't exist. And wouldn't exist without subsidy from NBA. League has never turned a profit. Well, I talked about this earlier. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a lot of the fans just kind of switch over from the NBA to the WNBA, The problem is not the product. The book is actually a nice book. It's way overpriced. It should be $19.99. At my local Target, it retails at $59.99. Yeah, about $60, Yeah, if they lowered it, you might get some more buyers, but it may be a product that people regret passing by. You know what I mean? Because let's say that Caitlyn Clark does win the championship this year for one reason or another, or next year, her value is going to shoot up even more. So, there's a lot of people questioning, Caitlyn Clark right now. And, yeah, I know that, she gets injured, but I still believe that a lot of her value is going to continue to level out, if not continue to rise up for a lot of reasons. And it has to do with what I get to in a lot of other videos, and that's this popularity contest that we always scratch our heads about, Ken Griffey Jr. comes to mind. He never won a World Series, but I mean, he is just practically worshipped for a lot of reasons. And he's more popular even than Barry Bonds, who holds the home run record, And I'd have to say that why was Ken Griffey Jr. more popular than Barry Bonds? It's because the reporters and the media loved him a lot more than Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds always got the bad end of the deal with the media. And that's likely because he held his ground, He would kind of push back. But, with Ken Griffey Jr., he was just always a darling of the media, just like Caitlyn Clark for the most part. So I know a lot of these guys are, airing out their grievances here with WNBA, Caitlyn Clark, and its players, but I honestly don't believe that it's going to go down that way with Caitlyn Clark. Anyway, I'd like to thank my subscribers for sticking around. I mean, you're the only reason I do this. I'm still not monetized. So if you could give me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're a viewer, I'd like to thank you for watching my channel. If you could subscribe to it, I'd really appreciate it because it will really help me out. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I'm out of here. Bye.